Hey everybody, it's cold out. I don't know if it's single digits yet or hard to keep track, but man, I have my humidifier running 24/7 in my bedroom and it still says dry. So it's like, yeah, it's cold, right? Yeah, these are the days when I was a kid when I would go to recess. I knew it was usually the first week in January, at least in the early 70s, that you go outside for recess or something and you sniffle and then my nostrils would stick together. It's like, oh, that's cold. That was always the bellwether for me. And then I got to be older and it's like, how come that doesn't happen anymore? Well, puberty hits and you grow hair in places and your nostrils don't stick together anymore. But so I remember the days. So yeah, so it is February 12th, Lincoln's birthday. It's good. I have a few things to talk about, some parish news we can get to. And can you see the snow? It's like snowing. I guess you can. So a nice little ambiance for today. This is the southern edge of Half Moon Lake. There goes a walker. So last week's chat I just did from across the road up there. It's just kind of a nice place. I thought you could see a little of the expansive lake here today. So let's see. Let's get to some stuff. Pastoral Council met last night. We have a good group of men and women. We have some were missing because they were in our sister parish in Puerto Rico. So hi to our Puerto Rican emissaries who we missed, Joe and Ellen from the meeting because they were there, and maybe some others, but I assume things are going well there, and look forward to when you start trickling back home. Oh, Miss Rosine came back already. She was there. She's our second grade teacher. She was in Puerto Rico with our mission group, and she is quite tanned, if not sunburned, and it kind of stands out at the school mass today, which we had. Yeah, school mass today was good. Always is. That Mrs. Nelson wrote a beautiful introduction to the Mass that her first graders read. And the gospel was about the Pharisees or whoever were criticizing Jesus and his followers because they didn't do all the rituals, like the washing of the hands and the purifying of cups and things like that. And Jesus, that sort of uncorks Jesus because he's like, man, those things are good, but that's not the substance of what it is to be a child of God and to learn the way to eternal life. And yesterday was a continuation of yesterday where it said, Jesus says, you people are like Isaiah prophesied, that you profess faith with your lips, but your hearts are far from me. And anyway, I think it was probably the first time I used this example, but like with the kids, I said, you could say you come into church and it's beautiful the way you're reverent. I just love it. They were learning. They walk in, they put their fingers in the holy water, make the sign of the cross, and then they get to the center of church where the altar is, and they give a profound bow, and then they head back to their seats. And I said, that's awesome. So what if you did that though? Did the holy water, did the profound bow, then someone was sitting where you wanted to sit, and you said, hey, I always sit here. Can you move? Get out of here. That'd be like bad news. You might do all the external things right, but you might be kind of mean in your heart, and that'd be terrible. And so it's both and, the externals that we learn kind of give some shape to our life and some good habits. But, it's if the heart's not engaged and open to loving your neighbor, then it's missing the point. It needs a tune-up, right? Okay, maybe get it more on that theme a little bit later. Wow. You have clutter in your life? I have a lot of clutter in my life, and I don't know. I was thinking, was that Marie Kondo or somebody like that? She said, if something brings you joy, then you should keep it. If it doesn't, toss it. And that's supposed to supposedly make your house have less clutter. I have a lot of stuff that brings me joy, and I don't want to toss it. And they remind me of things. This is a day when it's so cold, so I had many layers on, and the base layer on my torso I was just thinking, everything I have seems to have a history, you know. So I bought it I was with Father Bryce and like 4 or 5 other guys, and they went backpacking and invited me along in the Grand Tetons. And we were in Jackson Hole, and I realized it was going to be colder than I realized, so I needed another layer. And we went downtown, and I was going to get this merino sweater. It was kind of expensive, and the guys talked me out of it. They said, "Oh, that's too expensive." I'm like, "Okay, all right." And then there was something else on the 50% off rack. It was just this little base layer, North Face kind of thing, and the clerk told me, he goes, "Yeah, I have one of those. It's a good product. You'll like it." So I'm like, "Yeah, okay." You know, so I got that. It helped me stay warm in the mountains. And anyway, all those memories came rushing back because of this T-shirt. Well, I have my drawer is full of all these shirts, you know, and I should probably toss some, but you know what I mean? It brings me joy. So what are you going to do? But I do have to declutter. You can come if you want, but it's like a freak show if you come to visit my office. It's like grotesquely cluttered right now. In that case, it's not so much what brings me joy. It's just like I don't want to throw it away because it's a magazine that has a good article in it, or it's like this or somebody gave me this. Anyway, it's a challenge. That's me. That's not so much parish news. So Joe Roosh came last night. He's a speaker from Minneapolis. He came to talk to the religious education, like the CCD, as we used to call them. Teachers, the volunteers in all the parishes in the area were invited to come to listen to him talk about how to connect to our youth. And Kelly Boudry, our DRE, organized that, and our facility hosted it. So we played it. It's nice to be able to serve the wider community like that. And Beth reports that there was a great first Eucharist retreat. So there were 25 of our second graders showed up for Sunday afternoon to learn about the Eucharist and Jesus and what it's all about, and to look at the hosts and the wine, and just to there's all these little different stations they went to, and then some parents were there. So all in all, there were over 50 people there that came, and it was a really good spirit and cooperative spirit as they get ready for some very exciting time. I think it's the first weekend in May we celebrate the First Communion. We'll see. I had to make sure it didn't conflict with a baptism that was scheduled for Ryan and Gina's peach-free new child. So it was all good. That's the week. Their baptism's the week after First Communion. Demo started on the restroom. So as we announced at Mass, so there's really our nicest restrooms are the more recent ones that were built, and that's in the off the gathering space, and they're by the drinking fountain in the gathering space. And then there's one in the back of church that's been there for years and years and years, and we thought, well, we gotta make that look better and function better for us. So it'll be great. It's gonna take a month though, so it'll be closed for a month. But remember, we have those other restrooms, and I think they're gonna open up the faculty restroom in the school too, which is just if you leave the gathering space toward those restrooms, go out the doors to the right and up the stairs. It's right up there. So that'll be good. Wow, Lent Gap. I don't know what that means. Ash Wednesday's not till March 5th. I think I just meant that it's quite a gap. Usually, sometimes between the Christmas season and Lent, you just have a few weeks to catch your breath, and then Ash Wednesday's right away. So often Ash Wednesday's been on Valentine's Day, which is this Friday, of course. And I am, Patty. How you doing?
Is it going on now?
You bet. I'm recording. You want to say hi to people? Okay. Okay. Patty's one of our great hospitality persons from Saturday. So anyway, I thought I heard a voice, but I thought the little school kids are across the street. And anyway, fun. So this Lent, so we have a bigger gap with Lent this year, so we have some time to catch our breath. There is tomorrow, we're going to have a Zoom meeting. A couple of weeks ago, I got an email from CRS, which is Catholic Relief Services, and they are the great international aid arm of the Catholic Bishops of the United States. So it's an American thing. Catholic bishops in the U.S., they're armed to help the poorest of the poor in the world, and they're always on the front lines. They're in Gaza, they're in Ukraine, they're in Africa, famine. They do great work. And I got an email from them, because I am a donor, and I get their emails, and So if anybody's interested in hearing about local CRS chapters, Catholic Relief Services chapters, they're going to have a webinar. So, I attended. And I thought, maybe our Social Concerns Committee would like to make that sort of an international dimension of what they do, or maybe beyond that. Maybe we could have a chapter in Eau Claire with all the different parishes. So a representative from CRS is going to come to the Zoom meeting that we scheduled to discuss that, which I'm really glad they can come, because Pastoral Council was asking me some questions and I got a little tongue-tied. I know part of what they would do is we get emails about legislative issues, things that affect international aid, helping the poor internationally, and how we might reach out to legislators with our views on to support a certain legislation or oppose a certain legislation. So some of it's advocacy like that, and I assume others would be maybe somehow awareness, where people are starving, how many people are starving, the dire need. I don't know that it'd be like direct fundraising, but certainly money goes a long way with them. And that's one of those charities that sometimes they rank charities. I don't know if it's still 94%, but they'll say, which charities are like the best to give to in terms of the money you give goes right to the people that it helps. So some places might have a high overhead and the staffing, so you might give $1 to some group, but only 48 cents goes to the poor person. Catholic Relief is about 90%. I think last time I saw it was 92. So it's been a really good, efficient group that way. So anyway, I'm kind of excited. And we had people I mentioned who said, yeah, that'd be great. So we'll see if we can get a local chapter of the Catholic Relief Services going. And it's just a coincidence that it's happening now, but right now, so I don't know if you heard about the U.S. aid and, the Doge group, trying to cut all the federal spending. And it's really, who knows, but a lot of it is like U.S. aid. That's helping starving people, And so it's hard to see that getting cut. And like Catholic Relief Services, like a lot of different places, they don't make money on the federal government giving them money. Federal government contracts with good, efficient organizations that will use the money well, right? So I don't know if it's about half or how much Catholic Relief Services gets from the federal government, or had been getting, but that's all threatened to cut off. But it's like maybe half of it, so it's millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so I have a friend who used to work for them, and he said, I don't know if I found it here. Far from Christmas refugees. He said CRS is laying off thousands of people right now because the funding's dried up, and the USCCB, the Bishops Conference, in terms of relief, have laid off 100. And so these things that are, I don't know, sort of excite people that want to, reform the government, get rid of waste and all that, I'm sure there's lots of places where there are waste and inefficiencies, but a lot of the poor and vulnerable are getting hurt right now. So that's tough. That's tough business. So anyway, I don't know that our chapter will be able to help that situation much if we get it going, but that'll be tomorrow. Speaking of that, so there's been pretty big, maybe you heard on Monday, Pope Francis came out with a letter. It was kind of directed to the United States, but so the church supports the poor in the world. We need to. When we're not fulfilling our mission. That great judgment scene in Matthew, whenever you've clothed the naked, or you've given drink to the thirsty, or visited the prisoner, you visited me. That determined whether people got to heaven or not. And I don't know. There was something. I think the Pope was responding a little bit. The Vice President was. He likes to talk theology a lot, but it's a little specious. And he's quoting St. Augustine or something. He was suggesting that, what's it called? There's an order of love. That first you take care of your family, and then you take care of your community, and then you take care of this. And the last priority is the wider world. If you have enough to help them, then you can help them too. And the Pope even got involved, and the bishops. He's like, that's really kind of a misinterpretation. And he kind of led us to this icon here. He said, this is the Good Samaritan. He said, let's take our lesson from the Good Samaritan. So it's Jesus carrying the wounded Samaritan. He tells the story. Icons are a little different, so it's a Samaritan person that helps a wounded Jewish person on the road. But there's the, carrying him, binding up his wounds. And, the idea is to form a sort of vision of life where we love our neighbor. And of course, we have particular obligations to love and care for our families. But it's in a way that kind of builds up the idea of just that love is everything, that we need to love all people. And even this, what's going on in so I don't know, I had a couple things I could probably read. The bishops say to the Caritas, International Vatican World Aid, said stopping U.S. aid will jeopardize essential services for hundreds of millions of people, undermine decades of progress in humanitarian and development assistance, destabilize regions that rely on this critical support, and condemn millions to dehumanizing poverty, even death. Those are pretty high stakes, right? And there's just a lot of rhetoric from the U.S. bishops, Wisconsin Catholic bishops even put out a statement. A lot of things coming out how Christians are on to help the vulnerable and migrant. And nobody's saying open borders. It's like we can regulate this, but just have this kind of threats of mass deportation and separating families. There's just this population of vulnerable, poor people, and to treat them just as a problem and to whisk them away is obviously hurts them, but it also hurts us. Is that who we want to be? We want to be people that live in communion and are sensitive to the needs of the poor and vulnerable. So a lot of rhetoric like that. To the bishops, he said, God will richly reward all that you do for the protection and defense of those who are considered less valuable, less important, or less human. And for all of us, this is the Pope, he says, I exhort all the faithful of the Catholic Church and all men and women of goodwill not to give in to narratives that discriminate against and cause unnecessary suffering to our migrant and refugee brothers and sisters. With charity and clarity, we are all called to live in solidarity and fraternity, to build bridges that bring us ever closer together, to avoid walls of hate, and to learn to give our lives as Jesus Christ gave his for the salvation of all. Big picture stuff, important stuff not to lose track of, huh? On our own level, so we had the refugee family. So one of the refugees that came here, Ludwig, I don't know if he didn't like it here. He had better friends and more connections in Atlanta, but he's in Atlanta now. All the things that we were be able to help everybody left on good terms. We left on good terms with him, and his friends did, and they had a kind of goodbye party for him. And so he's in Atlanta, and it's all legal, all good. And with the three that are remaining, their 1-year-old turns 1 on Monday, and they have been funded. The U.S. government funding stopped, but World Relief was able to get donations, so they're funded through March as far as paying rent and things like that. So we may be, he's hoping to get a job. So everybody knows he's a welder by background, but I think he would do anything for a job. The mom is kind of taking care of their 1-year-old. So if anybody has any leads on jobs, let us know, and we can and let him know. So Derby, his name is, good guy. They joined us for Mass a couple weeks ago, and it was lovely. We hope to baptize their baby Natalia. It's far from Christmas. Did you know that Groundhog's Day is the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox? Kind of on purpose. I didn't know that. And so that made me think, well, things are getting lighter. We're already past the halfway point between the darkest day of the year and the day when night and day are equal in length. So it's kind of neither here nor there, but I didn't know that. Okay. Bob Dylan's coming. I mentioned that last week. Thanks to a friend in Pennsylvania, my friend Megan. She scored a couple tickets and a couple more for my friends in Milwaukee that'll come up. It's my birthday weekend, so I'll be with friends and Bob Dylan, so it'll be fun. And all of you at St. James, so it'll be great. I do feel bad though. There's some awesome people that I know in the parish, and they said we tried to get them and we couldn't get them. They went on the computer, and so I guess it wasn't a really great experience trying to get these tickets. I was on my way to La Crosse for a meeting, so that my friend got those, so I didn't have to go through that agony. But it took her 45 minutes of just waiting and waiting, and finally some tickets showed up that she could buy. So anyway, I'm sorry that people who wanted to go weren't able to get tickets. It's possible you'd be disappointed. I mean, his concerts are, I mean, they're not like if you went to the movie, it's not like he's going to play songs like he played in the movie, Complete Unknown. Which I was listening, I'm just watching a lot of Bob Dylan YouTube things right now, interviews, and he's just kind of a fascinating figure. I don't know if I can really even say what my fascination is with him. It's not like I want to be like him. He's just kind of driven by music. He's kind of his own person. In some ways, I don't want to imitate him. He doesn't seem like he put down roots very much, or he didn't. I'm not insulting him, but it's as far as commitment to people, it's just kind of all about the music and his freedom and doing what he wants. And you know, the song that keeps staying with me from the movie is the one that the movie closes with. And it's not one of his. It's a Woody Guthrie song. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. Time comes for me to be traveling along. And I don't know, it fills me with sadness. It's just kind of like this separation, this grief. But it was just kind of who he was. You know, he left different relationships. He left Woody Guthrie. He left his different girlfriends, and maybe there's a freedom in there, and maybe I cling to things. But so long, it's been good to know you. It just sounds like, where's the substance there, you know? But maybe there's a freedom there. So Bishop Barron, he's kind of a famous Catholic social media guy. He's a bishop of Winona, Rochester, nearby, across the river from La Crosse. He loves Bob Dylan. And he has some videos out there. If you're curious what he has to say about him, it's go to YouTube, Bob Barron or Bishop Barron, Bob Dylan, something will come up. I saw one, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was about a 10-minute video, and he talked about Bob Dylan's appreciation for spirituality in his music, appreciation for the transcendent. He talked about probably his two most famous songs, Blown in the Wind and Like a Rolling Stone. And he said, blown in the wind, you know, wind is the biblical word, ruach in Hebrew, that hovered over the earth. And it's like the Holy Spirit that came upon, you know, the answer is blown in the wind, that there's a wisdom beyond maybe what we can always grasp, but that is present and hovering over us. You know, something like that. He says it better if you want to look it up. It said, like a rolling stone, how does it feel to be on your own, no direction home? A complete unknown is in that refrain, the title of the movie. And I remember you talk about being detached. There's a lot of St. John of the Cross or a lot of spiritual writers say, you know, we shouldn't get attached to much, so we can be free. We can be free to follow God's call. We're not weighed down by possessions or even ideologies, or, you know. And I do remember, there was this one semester abroad when I was in London for a semester when I was 20 years old, and I went up to Scotland on a train for like a long weekend with some of my classmates, and they wanted to go play golf at St. Andrews, and I thought, I can play golf at any, you know, in Eau Claire and Wausau, or, you know, wherever. And so I didn't want to go there and play golf. So they left, and I was on my own. And I remember walking, it was raining, and I was getting wet, and I was walking with my suitcase that I had in my hand. I didn't have a backpack, I was carrying it, and I thought I'd come across a bed and breakfast or a cafe where I could eat, and there's like nothing, you know. And eventually, yes, but I mean, I walked for hours up the shores of Loch Lomond, and this song, Like a Rolling Stone, kept going through my ear. How does it feel to be on your own? I thought, well, and they added some dignity to it. It kind of pumped me up a little bit, but I definitely wanted to. It's really kind of a nice story. So then I finally find this place. It's a bed and breakfast. They have a room. I'm grateful. I'm wet. I'm cold. She puts out this tray of what they call biscuits or like crackers or cookies, like graham crackers, and some tea. And there's this whole assortment, a big tray. And I hadn't eaten, and it was like 4 in the afternoon or something. I hadn't eaten since the morning. And I ate them all. I didn't want to, but I was hungry and I ate them all. And she came out and I think she was surprised, but she had to kindly smile like, oh, I think she even brought me some more. And then the next morning, I wanted to go get ready and get out, walk back, or I think I would just walk back to where I came from. And I couldn't find my shoes, and I was kind of mad. And I was like, and my first thought was, they took my shoes, like someone stole my shoes. It's like I had this evil thought. And so I went down to my stocks, and they had some eggs and things. And I said, I just don't know where my shoes are. And she said, oh, I took them out of your room while you were sleeping, and I put them by the furnace. And so my shoes are like dry and toasty, and and I was thinking evil thoughts, like they took my shoes. That's something. Just the grace and goodness of that. Anyway, the chat was worth that story alone, right? Hope. Feel like I had a few other things to say. I think maybe we got it. There are some things on hope. I want to mention something about hope. I have a friend who's a pastor in Massachusetts, Sue, and she sent me an article by a professor from Duke Divinity School. And I'll just read some random thoughts. That hope, if it's just optimism, it's like, I hope this will happen or things will work out. He said it leads to a bystander mentality, which I thought was interesting, which is like passive. I'm just kind of watching, things will work out. Which reminds me of that, speaking of Dylan, Johnny Cash. My favorite line in the Johnny Cash movie is things are going to crap, and other things aren't working out well, and Johnny Cash says to June Carter, who's the strong one in the movie, played by Reese Witherspoon. He goes, June, things will work out. And she just loses it because she's working so hard to make things hang together, and he's just whatever. He's kind of addicted and just not doing anything. People are taking care. He's not contributing to the solution. And she just loses that. She goes, yeah, things will work out. You always say things will work out. You know why things work out? Because people make things work out. People around you don't even know. You don't realize all these people around you are making things work out. It's not because things just work out, John. So anyway, hope has this active thing. So this author says, maybe the key thing as far as getting real, genuine hope is, what do you love? Stories of hope are fundamentally love stories. Loneliness, abuse, and abandonment are the primary enemies of hope. Too many people feel that they don't matter. Let's love one another. Hope can feel far off. We can bring it near if we choose to give ourselves to care for each other. So, nice words on hope. I feel like I missed something. I want to talk about the reparation mass, but that'll be plenty to talk about next chat. Okay, so, hey, God bless you, everybody. Let's be good to one another. Let's, hang on to hope. Maybe identify where it is that we want to put our love. So let's pray. Loving God, on this day it's cold outside, and we do pray for those who suffer because it's cold outside. We hear that playful children at their noon recess. Hope that they have good friends, that everybody's included in their games. Pray for healing for all of us who experienced abandonment or abuse or loss. That we'll find love as well, people that value us and care for us. And that we can be those important agents who love and care for others, bring hope to their lives. Pray for all people that need help today, and we pray for all the strong who are able to help, that we will do so with joy in our hearts. God bless you, everybody.